Hello guys, and you're welcome. So I have this artwork hand drawn and then scanned in, and I've just placed it in this document. And basically all you need to do is when you create a new project, I'll just show you an example. So let's say I just created, I'll go to print and select A0 and hit on create. And then all we need to do is go to file and go to place. And then wherever you have your images, you can just place any sketch, any design you have, and you can just place that in your scene and you'll be good to go. So I'll just go ahead and place this one and hit open and just click place here. Now it will be very large, so I'll just use the navigator to scroll back. Now obviously I picked a very small paper size, so you just scroll this and make sure that it's within the confines of your paper, and let's zoom back in the center, and then you can actually see you have your sketch right where you want it. And in case you can't see that handle, just press V or hit the transform tool or select your layers. Again, if this is looking super weird, you can always reset. So I'll go to view, go to studio, and I'll say reset studio, and this should reset the entire view. So I'm going to delete this project because I'm not working on this one. I'm just going to first create the line art for this character, and then once I'm done with the line art, I'll start creating the flats. And once I've added the flats, I'm going to edit, rearrange, and then shade this character using very basic colors. So this is a character from a Christopher Hart book on how to draw kawaii. I really love this character, so I decided to sketch it out, add a little variation to the color, and then make this available. So yeah, so the first thing I'll do is to create a few custom brushes right from the get-go, and I'll use that brush to create this character. Now you don't have to follow along and create that brush with me, but I just feel it's nice having that brush, and I'm going to organize this. So first I'm going to group this, so I'll press Ctrl G and I'll call this sketch. And why I'm doing that is because I want to apply some adjustment layers here. So I'll go to levels, and I can use this to set how light or dark I want this to be. So sometimes having a slightly neutral color here will actually help. And then here we can even dim this guy. So there are a lot of settings, a lot of controls, but I'll leave it like this so you can see what I'm doing here. And I also think about how I want to create the characters. For example, we have the head shape, the ears, this hair, and I've shaded this part here to show where the lights are. So within the head, I'm going to have a little reflection here, and they are all in red. So I have a little shading for the ears as well. And under the arms, I'll have this shading along the edge of the face and on the tie, and then behind the cape. So the cape is going to have a basic shape, and then I'm going to create the other shapes inside the cape. And I might separate the legs in case I want to use a tool like, say, Moho. I would like to animate the legs separately, or I'll just do this as a standalone character. Either way, it's all totally fine. So let's go ahead and create our brush. So I'll go over here and I'll lock this group. And again, if everything's looking weird, I'll just go ahead and reset the studio. So I'll go ahead and say reset studio, and everything should be at the way it is at default. So you can see the layer is down here, the navigator is down here. So I like putting my layer down here, up here. And then the navigator, I just like floating the navigator and making it slightly big, like that. And I'll just make this bigger. This actually helps me instead of using the zoom tools or the move tool. I can just use the navigator and move and then zoom quickly like that. Or you can use the space bar to zoom as well. And then you can hold space and use the hand tool to pan your character. Okay, enough of the tutorials. Let's actually start using this thing. So first, I will hit the pen tool. Now, because I've selected I'm on this, it's going to select it, so I'll just deselect anywhere. Just deselect that and then switch to the pen tool. And let's get rid of the fill. I just want to use a stroke, and for the stroke size I like working with 2, like so. And let's look for a brush. So I like using the pencils, and I think this 64 2B pencil for closed curves isn't really bad, and we can just zoom in and see how that looks like. So I'll just zoom in here. It doesn't have that texture, so I'll just look for a brush with a nice little texture. So I'll use the classic 2B. I like the classic 2B, and you can actually see the size is slightly, it's quite large. So what I'll do is just dial down the size. I think about 4.6 isn't bad for the size. And what I'll do is to vary the pressure. Now to really see what's happening here, I'll make this big and I'll go to the pressure, and I just want to tip the edge. So I'll go here and add one here. Nothing too fancy. And I'll go ahead and now dial this down a little bit. So that's going to be the brush I'm going to use. And we can save this profile. So I'll go over here and say save profile. And we have this first profile saved. Cool. So what we can also do is to save this brush style. So if we go over here to styles, we can just right click and say create style. Now we have style 7. We can also use different styles. I have style 6, 5, pencil, style 3, and basically that's how we can create styles. But this one is style 7, so I'll just leave it at style 7 and I'll just delete that stroke. So the first thing I'll do is to create the large head shape, and to do that I'll just go ahead and click on the shape tool, no fill, and let's create a new vector layer like that. Remember, we've locked this guy, so on our vector layer let's click on the stroke and make sure we're on style 7, and let's just create our nice little shape for our character's face. I think that's quite large. So what I'll need to do is to click convert to curves to make this a curve, and then switch to the node tool, which is A. So what I'll do is to bring out the Bezier handles and start trying to match this up. So I'll pull this here and then I'll just start adjusting this guy. So on this second Bezier handle, I'll hold Alt and just bend it slightly, push this guy in, and I'm still holding Alt, so I'll just push this here and push this here, just so we have a nice little bean shape. Now if this is too hard for this angle, let's see, let's try style 6. I kind of like style 6, so I'll just leave it as that. So if this is too angular, what you can do is to make this a smooth curve, but we need to readjust this edge. So I hold Alt and I'll just go over here and drag, while holding Alt and just drag here as well. Just like that, nothing too complex. And there we have our head shape. Alright, so let's continue adding, let's add some flats to these this character. So we created a character, we added a few lines, so let's add some flats, and I like to make a few edits before we go. So for the cape, I want to just make it slightly wide, and let's just drop that a bit lower. Anywhere around here is okay. I think having the cape super wide is awesome. And what we're actually going to do about the hands is we'll put it behind the body. But first, let's begin adding our flat. So I'll select the head shape. And I don't know what color to use yet, so I'll just try out a few variations. Yeah, I believe this purpley monster isn't really bad. So I think I'll use this color to represent this character, and I'll just make the head a bit bigger, like so. So now that we use that pink color for our character's head, let's use the same color for the head. And to quickly do that, if I select the hair, I can use the eyedropper tool and select any color, and there we have it. We have used this color as a fill color for our character's hair. And remember that our character's hair has some sections that have some highlights, so we need to create another shape inside of our hair shape so we can actually use that. So one trick is to duplicate the hair itself. So I'll do Ctrl J to duplicate the hair and then clip the hair to itself here, like so. So this hair inside, what I'll do is to get rid of the stroke, and I'll use a lighter, or let's use a darker color to represent the shadow. So I know I have this color. If you go to the swatches, I know I use this color for the shadow, so let's make it slightly dark. So I'll just drag this down here, and what we can do is now move this one. So let's just move this downwards a little bit, and you can actually see what we have there. So we've created a nice little shadow for our hair. I'll just pull this down here, and we can do the same thing. Since we've clipped this, we can do the same thing and create a nice little highlight. So I'll Ctrl J this guy, and for the highlights I'll use a lighter color. So here with the lights, I'll just drag this till it gets over here, and I'll make this slightly like so. And what I'll do is just move this one towards this side here. So now you can see we have our lights and we have our shadows down here, and it's all clipped within the hair group. So if we turn off the hair, you can see we have this down here. So let's do the same thing for our head shape. So I'll just go over here and add some shadows at the bottom of our hair, our face. So I'll use the pen tool to draw a triangular shape, which I'm going to use to represent the shadow for the head. Again, I'll get rid of the stroke because I don't want it. And what I'll do is to use the node tool to make this really curvy, like so. Just a nice little curve. It's really good for shadows. And I'll clip this. I'll click on the fill and darken this a little bit, like so. And let's shift our hue. And what I'll do is just clip this under this face. We're not seeing it yet. I don't think it's not clipped yet. Just there. Very good. It'll disappear. So what I'll do is now move this guy using the move transform tool and just place it down here and rotate a little bit, and that's going to represent the shadow along the face. Now some of these are really distracting, so I'll get rid of any shape I'm not using. So for instance, the left and the right arm, I can even group them together and call these arms, and I'll save this version as version 3 underscore flats. And before I actually start putting all the flats, I want to have every shape filled with a color and then arranged properly. Then I can start thinking about adding flats. It just helps everything become organized. So let's look at the cape. So the cape is going to be, let's fill up the cape sections. So the back of the cape, which is this cape back here, I'm going to fill it with a very dark color, I'll just use black to fill it, or we can just go to color. I can even use this one. Let's see, let's drag the navigator down here. I'll go to color and set this to the wheel, and I'll use full black like so. And then for the front of the cape, I'll just make it like Count Dracula. So we'll just use a nice little red and then try to desaturate that red like so. Yeah, I think that's okay. So for the front of the cape, I'll select the eyedropper tool and click this, so it will give this front of the cape. Now we actually know that the cape is actually in front of the body, so we want the cape to be behind the body. So to do that, I'll just drag the body group and then put it right here at the bottom. That way we can actually see that our cape is behind. Excuse me. And let's fill the body with this color as well. So for the body fill, let's go over here and we could pick the eyedropper tool directly and just click anywhere, and you can see the body is behind. So actually it's supposed to be in front like this, so I'll put the cape at the back. So now we can see that our body is indeed in front of this. So for the arms, let's still go ahead and fill the arms as well. So let's open the arms group, make sure we've selected these, and then for the right arm, use this fill. For the left arm, use this fill as well. So now if I want, I can say I want to place the arms underneath the body, not clipped, but just slightly behind like so. Just so we can see how this looks like. And what we're going to do next is to add a little fill to our tie. So I'll use the same colors for the cape and use that for our tie. So for our tie group, let's just pick the eyedropper tool and click on the cape. And you can actually see that it's sort of, I think I can brighten it up. I'll brighten it up by using, let's just zoom in. I strongly believe I'm not using the regular stroke for this group. So that's why it's appearing weird. So I'll go over to the tie group and make sure I'm using the same style for everything. And for this one, I'll use the same style for it. So now that we have that, all I need to do is just fill it up with these colors, select these two, and then fill it up with the cape color. And what I want to do is to put the tie between the head and the body, so we can actually see the tie hiding underneath this section right now. And what I'll also do is to quickly arrange the tie, because this circular tie is supposed to be above these two, like so. So if you click on any space here, you can see how, nice that is. And quickly I'll just add the highlights to this shape just to make it unique. So to do that, I can simply create another shape, and you can see it doesn't even have the stroke because the last stuff I did didn't have a stroke. So I'll just drag this and make this slightly bright and clip this to our elliptical shape, and now I can just move this like so. If I find out this is too bright, what I can do is to go to that layer, and then here on the opacity I could just dial it down a bit. And what I'll do is to use similar shapes and just use them to clip this guy. Now a quick way to do that, you can use the pencil tool to quickly draw out a nice little shape, and then we can quickly clip that into a group. I'll just move that because it's on the other one. So I'll just place this right here. And we'll just make it slightly big. But the reason why sometimes I don't like this tool is because it has so many unnecessary points. We can always get rid of that by deleting any points we don't need. And there, I think this is more representative, and I believe this is on 60. So let's set this to 60 as well, so that we have a unique color system. And I'll duplicate this one and just drag the new duplicate underneath this shape, and let's use the move tool, move it over here and slightly rotate and leave it. So this time around we don't need to worry much about how that looks like. Now I don't really like that color, so I'll use the eyedropper tool and sample this red, and I'll use a, let's see, a brighter version of this red. I think here is okay. So I'll do that for all these. I'll just use the sample this color, and then for this one, sample this color as well. I believe it's much more nicer. That yellow was just too, I don't know, I didn't like it. But hey, if we wanted to be worried about how it looks like, we're going to change the entire thing without doing anything. So let's just take stretch out, zoom out, and actually see what we're working with here. So now for the foot, we could just darken that one. I believe it's on the body, and we have the foot. So what we can do is just darken some of this like so, like that. And for the other foot, I'll just use the eyedropper tool and sample this color so it takes the color from that one. And I believe we might not necessarily need the stroke for the foot. So we'll get rid of one stroke and see how it looks like. Yeah, that seems fine. So we'll select this foot and get rid of the stroke as well. So now we don't have a stroke for the foot. What I want to do is add the little shadow here, and let's see what I mean. If I turn this off, you can see I have a little section here where I have a nice little shadow shape. And let's just quickly add that. So I'll use the pen tool and draw out a nice little shape like this. And close it. I'll use the node tool to make it just a little curvy like that. Next, I'm going to clip this shape to the body. Let's just drag that and clip it to the body, and you can see we have our nice little shadow for the body. Now let's add a little shadow underneath the neck here, and to do that, let's create an ellipse and then mask that ellipse to the body as well. Rather, clip that ellipse to the body, and we can move it. Like so. Now I want it to be actually part of this head, so instead of clipping it to the body, let's drag it above between the head and see how it looks like. Now it doesn't look like it fits, so what we need to do is to just adjust these edges till it nicely looks like it's a shadow that was born out of these. I'll just drag this over here and see how this looks like. And it needs to be, the tie needs to be on top, so let's select the tie and then drag the tie above this, and then now we can actually see that it looks more realistic with the tie. Let's see that. Let's slightly look away, and if it's too strong we can just dial it down a little bit, say about 80, 84. I think that's fine. So next we have a little shadow for this edge of the body, this side. So let's quickly do that. So I'll use the pen tool and just draw a nice little shape I want to use to represent this side, like that. And what I can do is to just drag this, clip it to the body, and then we can use the node tool and just adjust this shape like so. I could just drag this over here like that. So it needs to go out a bit, so it's like part of this. And what I want to do is to make this, I think it's okay like that. So let's duplicate that, flip it. So I just use Ctrl J, and I'll press this to flip, hold shift and drag this towards the right. And I might need to adjust the position like so. And it doesn't have to be super perfect. Now it's looking a bit weird, but I'll just leave it like that. So for the hands, let's look at the arms. I'd like to add a little bit of shadow under the arms as well. So I'll use the pen tool, draw out a nice little curvy shape like so. Hold Control to make that a bit curvy. And I'll clip that to the left arm like that. And let's use the move tool and move this shadow like so. So it's actually there, but we don't want it to be too much. And I'll just duplicate the same. Where are you? Where are you hiding? It's for the left arm, not the right arm. So I'll open the left arm. This is our shadow. I'll duplicate and I'll move that to the right arm, move it outside, and then let's clip it to the right arm. So with that shape selected, let's flip it and just drag it towards the right, like so. So for the arms, let's look at this little arm pouch. We called it our pouch. And I usually like starting with the left. So let's start with the left pouch. I just want to fill this with a nice little color. Nothing too. And then for the right pouch, I'll use the eyedropper tool to select this color so it can fill this pouch on the left. I also forgot to add a little bit of shadow at the bottom here. We can always do that last, but it won't, it's not a bad thing if I just do this and do this. And now it's putting that in the right arm because that's the last thing I was selecting. I'll just drag this and put it under the cape. Actually, I want it outside of the cape, so like so. Like that. And let's just darken this a bit. And since we are, whoops, let's just group this and call it foot shadow. And I'll just move this, oops, I'll use V or the transform tool to just move this a little bit. And since we don't want it to compete with our character, we'll just drag it down a bit. Okay. So actually notice the features of the face are not really dark. So let's see what the problem is. So if I go back to the head shape, and let me bring back the ears. Let's see our nose. I strongly believe we're not using the same similar style. Maybe that's why, but let's just test it and see. Ah, there you are. So let's select all these features that are looking sort of gray and apply our style to them. And it may be a bit too thick. So I believe even the hands are not using that style. Let's see if we could just apply that entirely to the group. Oops, not that one. So let's go back to our arms. Select the right arm. So I believe what we can quickly do is to use not that. We want to select the stroke. So let's see, RGB sliders. So let's do the same thing for the left arm. The stroke, we'll just make this black. And for the mouth, I noticed the mouth as well. So let's look for the mouth. And let's set the stroke as well to have a dark color. And then for the ears, or we could just select that style and slam this over here. And let's slam that same style to the ears as well. I believe I used style 7, that's why it came out like that. So it was style 7 that was causing that problem. So for the ears, we want it to be behind the head, and let's fill it up with a nice, let's select this color just for uniformity. I'll just select this color for the ears, and you can see it's in front of the head. I want it to be behind that. So what we need to do is to separate the ears and bring the ears out, and we could just put it under like this. So head, ears behind. And I also like to increase the thickness. Let's see if we can get away with the stroke size. I think it's making the ear look super weird, but I'll just leave it like this. And let's see if we can improve on this. I want to add a little bit of like the inner pouch for the ear, kind of. So let's select this and let's draw a nice little shape. Let's get rid of the stroke and let's make the color slightly fleshy like that. And let's clip that to the ear. And let's drag this and see how this looks like. Okay, again, everything is subject to change. If we don't like it, we can always get rid of it. But I'll just duplicate this and put it on the other ear. So this one, just clip that to this ear. And while I've selected that, I'll just move it to the side of this ear. It's a little bit. I think I'll place it here. I think it's looking weird because the color I'm using for the ear is not. Let's use the body color for the ear. So eyedropper tool, hit that. And then on the other ear, eyedropper tool, hit that. So now we can see we have. Let's move this one. I believe for some reason this one seems to be slightly better. So what we have next is, let's add a little highlight for the forehead. A little nice curvy little highlight for the forehead. So I'll use the pen tool and create a nice little triangular shape. And let's brighten that color up a bit. Shift our hue. I think that's not bad. We'll use the node tool to make this curvy, like that. And what we can do is to make this child of the head shape. And you can actually see we have that highlight for the head. And I want to make this a bit big, like that. And we can even combine. I want to just rotate it a bit. I don't trust it. So let's go over here, rotate, push that like that. I think that's not bad. I think that's nice. For this shadow color for the cheeks, I'll use the same color here so we have a consistent shadow for the shapes, and it actually looks super nice. And what I'll do is to duplicate this and then flip it and put it on the other side of the face as well, just so we have a little bit of extra shadow here, like that. And let's see, we can add some additional shapes here just to make it stand out. I'll use the same color here, and once we click away, it'll look like it has a little cutout there. And what we're left with now is to add some of those additional extra highlights that really make the character pop. So what do I mean? So let me just use my ellipse tool with this fill, and this is going to be our brightest part, like so. So let's add one on the cheeks here. So cute. Add another one. Let's zoom in and add another one somewhere here. Let's add one here on the thumb. Let's add another one here. Now it's adding all these highlights in the head shape. I don't want that, so I'll just select everything here and I'll drag them out and I'll group them. I'll call them highs. So I want everything to be in the highlight group, not in the head group, because that's where I'm adding my little highlight details. So let's add one here. Boop. And let's move around. Let's add one around here. Boop. Like that. Along the foot. Boop. Is it in the group? It's not. It's not adding them to the group. I think this one needs to be a bit up. This one, I'll just drag it up a bit. And now for the body shape, I don't know. I don't trust. Be honest, it looks very. The body looks weird for some reason. And let me just quickly. And that's what happens when you need to take a break, look at things, and see how they. Let's see if we did the right thing there. So yeah, I believe all of them are now in this group. See how they're all in this group, and I think that's the body shape. So let's look at that. This main curve for the body shape. I want it to be slightly, slightly round and happy like that. So what I can do is to just push these back out a bit. Yeah, I believe the character is a bit rounded and happy like that. And I'll select this one, push it out so it kind of like matches with the shape shadow for the hands. There, I think that's the reason. So I just puffed it out a bit, made it a bit puffy, and I want this one to also be extended towards part of the leg. So I'll just drag this outside so it just appears a little bit inside. I believe it's nicer that way. And I'll just drag this one down. Let's even drag it down here. I don't care. Make this slightly. I see. So yeah, that's it. So let's do the same thing to this side. So I'll just pull this guy out. Make sure it pops out a bit. Now let's make this slightly kind of curvy and friendly and nice, like that. Yeah, I think it doesn't. It still looks weird. So let's see. Let's see if we can fix that weirdness. So let's curve you. So you look like a little stomach shape. Let's curve you out a lot. Yeah. And let's try this one. Let's curve you out. Make you real curvy. And let's push you in like so. I believe that's fine. So I also want to add a nice little like stomach for this character, just like you have in like Box Bunny and all that. So let's see if we can add that little stomach there to see if it'll make a difference. So I'll just add this like so. And what I'll do is to make it slightly dark, so I'll pick this color and then try to make it appear a bit. So no stomach, stomach, no stomach, stomach. I think I like it with the stomach. Stomach. Anyone? So I'll just place it right here. So what we can do now is to, let's see, let's click on this. The curve for the head, and let's go to brushes. And now you can see what you can start doing. So you can always customize the brushes, see how they look, if you like them or not. So, and now that we're through with this, let's keep things super organized as well. So what is this? So that's the head shadow. That's the head shadow. And we have our highlights. We have our tie body. Let's get rid of the sketch, and we can create a background, a flat background. So I'll just use this shape, zoom out, and let's just draw any background like so. I'll just place this here. And it's not supposed to be here, it's supposed to be under the sketch. And you're using the same color. Let's try something different. Yeah, I think it's blue. Yeah, the blue is not really bad. Blue is nice. So I have this nice little blue character shape. I think it's not bad. So I'm actually seeing that this cape has a different color, including the arms and the pouch. So I'll quickly fix that. So I'll go to the cape group. So for the fill and the stroke, I'll use the swatches and select this black one. And so for the front cape, the stroke, let's go to swatches and use this black. You can actually see it's affected here. And then for this one, let's go to swatches and use this full black for that. And let's select the arm, the pouch. Now let's just use the color for the stroke. I'll just make everything dark here. So let's see the left arm pouch, go to the stroke, make it all dark as well. And let's see the stroke. Just quickly fix that. And then the stroke for the curve in the pouch. Let's fix this one too. Now let's just go ahead and save that. I think the tongue is a bit small. Like I said, we're just going to keep changing these things. And you can actually come back after a little while and then see that, hey, this thing doesn't really look the way it's supposed to. So we'll just make it... Ladies and gentlemen, it's the amazing Dino Magical! Something like that. So let's see. Okay, why not? Let's... Now, another thing you can do is to really make the design super awesome. So what I mean is, you'll just see it in a second here, and this is going to really blow your mind. So you can use the fill tool and then use a nice little fill. You can actually see what happened there. You can use a fill to kind of like add these really nice effects. For instance, the start of the fill, we could just make it slightly brighter like so. And then the end of the fill, instead of using that purple for this character, we could just go in here and then start, you know, mixing some nice little color variations to the character to make it quite unique. So you can actually see just by doing that, just by adding that on the head, it's making it look like, you know, nice, poppy and balloony, kind of nice and cool. But I'll just leave it here. So to undo that, we could just go to the type and add a solid, or we could just simply go to our history tool and unselect these like so, or we could just undo till we get back to our flat design, which is here, and it's super cool. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next quick tutorial.